Call me right after and tell me where exactly I'm taking you on the show today. I believe a lot of you will be able to figure it out. I also believe that a lot of you might just get it right. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a guest in the house, but you find out right after the song. Oh, Lord. Five. Where exactly am I taking you today on the show, ladies and gentlemen? What country are we going today on the show? All right, I got my first message here. This is Andrew from Lagos Island, and he says we're going to Ivory Coast. Okay, thank you, Andrew. And this is Jonah, and he says we're heading to Ivory Coast. Wow, guys, how far? What's the situation today? But that's I don't know. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for a moment of truth where I get to tell you officially where we're heading to today on the show. As you know, there's not much enough time, but we're just going to do it as soon as possible. But then, on second thought, I am thinking my guest should be the one to answer So, ladies and gentlemen, I have a guest in the studio, and he's none other than very seasoned content creator. He's also a very seasoned filmmaker. He's also a very seasoned YouTuber. He's also a very seasoned traveler, and he has been in how many countries have you been now, Steven?
When you think about it, not a lot actually.
Oh, you're trying to be humble now. How many?
Yeah, anyway, around 23. But by the end of the year, we should do like 26.
26. That's great. That's massive. Yeah. So when you heard this song, first of all, where did your mind go to?
And when I heard the song, I was thinking about two countries, Ghana and Ivory Coast.
Okay.
You know, because they got a lot of like similarities, but if I'm going to choose one, it definitely has to be Ivory Coast, because I was there, I was there like 4 months ago. Yeah, it's a sound that I was so familiar with. They play it all around the country.
Yes, it's a very popular sound, and it went viral on TikTok. Everybody started doing challenges with it, and it's very nice. Ladies and gentlemen, I have Stephen Nduku with me in the studio. He is the man of the moment, and he's here with us celebrating the World Tourism Day, and we have to grill him and ask all of those travel questions. When I posted a flyer on Nigeria Info's Instagram handle saying that we have Stephen Nduku coming in today in the studio, a lot of people sent me messages saying, please ask him how do we progress on our travel journey and ask him how can we increase on our consistency on YouTube, making videos and all the like, because he seems to have hacked it. Do you feel like you've hacked it?
How would you say hacked it? No, even the biggest YouTuber in the world, Mr. Beast, he's still out there like trying to figure out how things work. So I think I'm still in the phase where I'm like, okay, what is working? Like, what can I do to even get bigger and stuff? So it's just like looking for genuine stories, visiting some destinations that a lot of people don't know about, make these travel stories, make these documentaries, and show it to the world. Yeah.
Really, how does it feel? How do you feel, making the trip to all of these places, visiting these countries, telling people stories? One thing I like about what you do is how you go down to the local communities. You speak to the boat cruise, the person your guide. You speak to the boat cruise person. You speak down to the person who's selling by the roadside. You literally speak to everybody. You make it so engaging, and you make them you make them a part of more. Why do that?
Most people just go to resort, they just go stay in the link, see food, all interact with and leave. So when it's low cost, I feel you interact with people that don't feel like you've really traveled. Because real experience is when you visit a country, you learn about the culture, you learn about the people, and then the food. So I always try to incorporate those elements in my videos. I talk to local people, tell me about your country. I meet anybody, tell me about your country. And the interesting thing is you get to hear the genuine part about that country. It's from the local people, and most of the times the first person that you get to interact with is the taxi person that takes you from the airport. So that usually is where my interactions start with. And when you ask me how it feels traveling to all these places, I feel like that's one of the cool things with the job. You get to travel to so many destinations, you get to experience the world. There are a lot of difficulties that come. Probably you're going to ask me later on in the show, but it feels really good to be traveling around the world.
Yeah, a lot of difficulties, just like you hit it. One of the difficulties is the language barriers that we face. You get into a new country. Let's say you got into Ivory Coast, and then the language is one of the things, because you don't know who you're meeting, what language the person can speak. You don't know if you can even have a conversation with a taxi.
The first time that hit real hard was when I went to Ivory Coast, because that was when that's where I was starting my West African tour. I was like, the average person there does not understand English, right? So I was upset, but then I was like, I'm the one that left my country to come to their country, right? So I started downloading all the Google Translator app on my phone, and then I luckily had one guide, but he was not even based in the country. He was from the UK, but the only advantage, he understood French. But a few days he was not with me. I couldn't go anywhere because I didn't even have data phones. When I go out, I tried to speak to these people. It wasn't working. So it's before you travel to a destination like that, make sure you download, first of all, Google offline maps, and then you download the translator app and download the specific language offline. So if it is French or Portuguese or Spanish, just download it on your phone. And then if you have that, make sure you have internet on your phone. Get a SIM card. When you have those few things, I think you're good to go.
Lagos, I forgot to tell you that we're streaming this live on YouTube currently at Nigeria Info FM, and on Facebook at Nigeria Info 99.3. You can see Steven right here in the studio. He's in the studio with me. He's not joining us virtually from any country where he's in the studio here with me. So you can catch us live on Facebook and on YouTube as well. Steven, one of the things you said about is about the language barriers, and you see the language barriers is actually one of the things that gets a lot of people and discourages a lot of people from travel. But you also spoke about the culture. Now, this year we're celebrating the World Tourism Day, and the theme for this year is tourism for peace. Do you think there's any similarities, or is there a role that tourism plays for peace among nations?
Yes, I would say tourism for peace, definitely, because I'll tell you, a lot of countries that are really pushing tourism, they're trying to also integrate that aspect as well. Because if you're going to make your country a tourist destination, for example, I was in Morocco, Egypt, I also went to Tanzania, South Africa. These are countries that tourism is very prime for them, so they also find a way to integrate that element inside,
inside of it. But do you think like the more you get to know the people, the local people, because usually like from Nigeria now, I have an assumption of how the Moroccans. Okay, let me go straight. I when I was going to Egypt, I had this mindset that the Egyptians do not feel like they don't feel like they're part of Africa. They feel like they're more of the Middle East. So I didn't really I was braving myself to have this culture shock and have these people treat me like you're African, you're not part of us, all of. But then when I got there and I met the local people, like they even knew more about Nigeria than even me that is a Nigerian. They started calling me Osime everywhere. And they were telling me, they know Osime a lot. And then they started telling me about all of the songs, that they listen to. And I was shocked because I had this mindset about them. The research, I did a lot of research online, which people always do before they travel. But I didn't really get it until I was there with them.
And that's why whatever perceived notion you have, make sure you visit that country. A lot of people say Nigeria is not safe, right? Until they come, right? So whatever you hear online is not 100% what exactly it is. And speaking about Egypt, so there's a white and there's a black Egyptians, right? And the black ones are called the Nubans. Sorry if I got that right. Yes. And you find them in a city called like Luxor, right? So the way of life is a little bit different, and because their proximity to Egypt is closer to the Middle East as well, while Morocco is way closer to Egypt. So the tourist influx is from Europe. This one's the most tourists to Egypt is Chinese, surprisingly, and Russia. When I saw it, I was like, wow. So most of the times when they have this influx of tourists, they try to adjust some things to fit this people coming in, because if I have say 5 million Chinese people coming, there's some kind of things I want to put so that
it can make them more comfortable.
But at the grand scheme of things, most of them would accept like they're Africans. Even when I went to Cabo Verde, right? Cabo Verde is off the shores of Senegal, right? So there was this perceived notion like, oh, these people are European. No, when I went to the country, they said yes, Europeans are, is a big market for them. Most planes come in from Europe, but the government is making intentional effort right now to bring in more African tourists into the destination and more African investors as well. That's why one of the last trip I did, I went on there with over 120 investors and people that just wanted to see the country, because I was there prior. I did a very nice travel video that exposed the destination, and that is part of the work we do.
That's really great. And another thing we want to hit there is that there's so much travel restrictions even among Africans. When we talk about Africans traveling to within Africa, there's so much travel restrictions. I want to go to South Africa, I want to go here, I want to go there. Kudos to Rwanda for what they did. There's so much travel restrictions. Even going to Egypt, even going to Algeria, Morocco, there's a lot of visa processes. Do we really need this? Don't you think it's time that we make it very accessible, that Africans go within Africa, just one harmonized passport that I can easily go through any country in Africa?
Do you want me to be very honest with you?
Very.
Listen, this is an income stream for them. Do you know how much this okay, for example, I said I went to Cabo Verde with over 100 and something people. It was a chartered plane from Abuja. We went there and each person paid 35 euros. That was just one plane out of the other planes that were coming. So if you multiply that, I mean, you as a nation, would you want to take that away, right? So when there are a few countries right now that are making efforts, Rwanda and then Kenya as well. So I really do hope more African countries jump into that whole borderless Africa, because I think there was a time Aliko Dangote was at an event in Rwanda that he said, the French guy that's the CEO of Total Energies or so, he could come into the continent, but he himself wants to go to South Africa. He needs to, he's the richest man in the world. But he's the richest man in Africa, so he can do that. There's still procedure and protocol that he talked about. So the African countries get into this whole borderless thing, then the more you and I can move around. But a lot of countries are like, oh, we want to control our immigration, we want to control, there's that part, but let's try to see what Europe is doing, right? You just get one visa and that visa is going to take you, so then you can do business here, you can visit here, imagine you get only one, like someone coming in, you get only one visa and you can go through all the 54, 56 countries in Africa. So even me as a content creator, if I didn't need visas to travel around Africa, it would really help my life, because now I want to do a tour through the southern part of Africa, South Africa, Namibia, Lesotho, Botswana. So you can imagine I need to apply for each and every one of those visas independently. So you see, it's not easy for me. So I have to go to South Africa, come back, do the Namibia one, go back, So,
oh wow, yeah. So you can't do it from there. You have to.
No, I just spoke to the Namibian embassy in Abuja. They were like, I have to come in with my passport and submit it for a week. And I'm like, my schedule is like really tight, so it's not even about a visa. Like, I don't even have the time, because I'm trying to do these things back to back. So now I have to fly to South Africa, do what I'm doing in South Africa, come back to Abuja, go apply for the Namibian one, then go to South Africa and pass through Namibia. Then the Botswana one is an e-visa, hopefully, So you see how hard it is. In as much as I have good intent, I'm trying to, travel to this place to showcase these destinations, And also, that's one thing I really love about social media. It has given us the power to tell our own narrative, because prior to now, you're going to have most of this Western media, you're going to have the white guys with the cameras coming to say, this is South Africa. But now you have a lot of, you see your fellow African person, promoting this destination. And that is why that's one of the very good things I talked in my book. I actually do have a book talking about the creator economy. I was like, that is what social media has been able to empower us with. The fact that you, just with your phone, you can travel to a destination and you can share your own side.
Story.
Yeah, you share the reality, because if your reality of Nigeria is different from a South Africa coming here to share, or a European person coming here to share. And that's one of the parts. So talking about borderless Africa, I really am looking up to that day where we don't need a visa to travel through this continent. Everybody can move around, and they find a way to vet, because most of them will tell you they're trying to control immigration, but it is what it is.
Control immigration. Well, we don't have to do it among ourselves. I think
it's
just
business. It's a business.
So it's a business.
Let me ask you a question. Do you know a friend of mine, Tigress? I don't know if you're listening to this. She was trying to win Cabo Verde. She's Kenyan. She was trying to come into Nigeria. My friend, do you know how much is a Nigerian visa? She paid $250, and she was just screaming and shouting. She was like, Steven, I don't know your country is this expensive. I was like, man, this is the first time I'm hearing it. Though. I don't even know. You know what I'm saying? So you can imagine all the tourists coming into Nigeria having to pay $200, and when you ask yourself, this $250 they are collecting, what are they using? What are they using the money for?
And the thing is that it's a probability, so you don't know if you will get a visa or not.
No, for a Nigerian one, you're definitely gonna get it. But what they're after is that payment. That payment. We don't really reject people that come. Are we going? Yes, hallelujah. You know what I'm saying? So
okay.
Yeah.
Let's go on one thing. You said a lot about the different people that are coming into Africa. You spoke about Egypt, having more Chinese and Russian tourists. You spoke about Cabo Verde, and they're having more European tourists. What is actually some of these key factors that influence travelers' destination choices?
Well, first of all, funny as it sounds, is the weather. For like, the reason why people like Cabo Verde, the reason why most European people will like Morocco is the weather. So when it's cold in Europe, they want to go to Morocco, Egypt. Those are hot climates, and those people, you go there, you just see them, they lie naked in the beach and they rub sunscreen on their body and then they stay there. They don't get that in their country. Same thing with Cabo Verde. Cabo Verde, during the summer season, they have that kind of Cape Town weather. There's sun, but there's no humidity. It's not hot. The temperature is quite low, so you can wear your singlets, your shorts. You don't do that in Europe. So first is the weather. The second would be the proximity, accessibility of flight, right? The reason why Cabo Verde is more open to, or rather not more open, but has a lot of European visitors, is because it is just 4 hours to Portugal, but there's a direct flight, probably like 4 hours, 30 minutes or 5 hours to France, right? It is 8 hours to America, it's about 6 hours to the Caribbean.
Oh wow! So it's just at a very
It's a
strategic.
very strategic point. So you'll be like, as a European, you'll be like, what's the closest flight I can? I even interviewed this guy on my travel video. I was like, what was the reason? Why did you come to Cabo Verde? And guess what her answer was? She was like, she was looking for sun and she was looking for a country that's close to her.
Wow.
Right? Yeah. So yeah, that first of all is the weather. Second is the flights. Is the flight. And that's why I was talking to a friend of mine. I was like, look, if Nigeria actually chose to do aviation, listen, there is no country in Africa that can come close to us. Look at our location. We are in the heart of West Africa. So if we choose, for example, we choose somewhere in the north like Kano and use Kano to be our international transit hub, my friend, we are going to be bigger than Ethiopia, because Ethiopia, they are center in Africa, but we are almost center when you're looking at Africa all the way to Europe and America. So an American want to go to Dubai, they will pass through Nigeria to Dubai. They want to go to South Africa, they pass through So when you look at the map and look at where we are, we are very well located, and that's why some of the biggest some of the biggest countries doing aviation, their location is always first. And I feel we have all of those things. And then when you have aviation, then you start thinking about tourism. Just like Qatar now, they have initiative where if you're doing layover in Qatar, they're going to sell you, instead of you rushing to go, do 2 days. In that 2 days, go and see the museum, go and see this. They need to get that money from you. They need to that your last $1 has to be spent in the country. So if we start thinking of this direction, my friend, is oil will be our 5th income stream. Trust me.
It's really great. It's really great, because I was coming to Nigeria because I'm thinking, like, why are we not there yet? Is it that we're not deliberate enough? Is it that we don't take advantage of the things we own? Because all of these things that you said that Ethiopia has, that Egypt has, that Cabo Verde has, we have all of these things. We even have more. We have way more.
I went through the north and I was just shedding tears. I was like, look at this huge vast of land. We can do all these big 5-star all inclusive resorts, like they have in South Island in Cabo Verde. But when you go there, you drive on the road, you don't even see anybody. But time for election, you're going to hear that Kanu has 14 million. How?
I don't want to follow you to that part too. I did not say anything.
So I'm just thinking of the tourism potential. I think northern Nigeria has the potential to become the tourism hub of Nigeria, if only our tourism minister really looks in that direction.
All right, thank you so much, Stephen. Ladies and gentlemen, we have to go. We are out of time entirely, but trust me, we're going to have Stephen back.
You are listening to your number one station for talk.
99.3 Nigeria Info.
99.3 Nigeria Info. Let's talk. 99.3 Nigeria Info. We are more than just radio. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at Nigeria Info FM. Check us out on Facebook at Nigeria Info 99.3. Follow us on Twitter at Nigeria Info FM and on Instagram at Nigeria Info FM Lagos for live updates as it happens.